Hello, everybody. We're here for another session of Build with Ben, and today I decided to, let's talk about something that, I've been talking about a lot on other streams as far as Obsidian, but we're going to focus on a coding aspect of it, but one that specifically we haven't really gotten to do a lot of, especially because a lot of times when we talk about Obsidian, right, it's all about JavaScript and how to get all that done. But, for a lot of Obsidian users, they never need the JavaScript part, right? And what they probably care about a little bit more is how to make their Obsidian personalized to their look and style, because there are a lot of beautiful themes out there, but what if you want to customize something, right? And so don't worry, this is not like an intro to CSS by any means, but at least it hopefully gives you an idea of how the ecosystem works. And more importantly, we're going to do some live updates to the theme that I released, Night Owl, which is inspired by Sarah Drasner, who wrote the original one for VS Code. And then from there, hopefully that gives you kind of the ins and outs of kind of how I look at development for the theme. And if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to drop them in the chat. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, well, first thing first, Obsidian themes. Let's talk about Obsidian themes. So basically, just to level set with everyone, what we have here we have Obsidian. So let me open my demo file actually. And what we have is the ability to sort of, actually let me zoom out a little bit so you can see more. This is basically what the Obsidian theme that I'm using looks like, and this is the Night Owl. And so basically what a theme is, it basically a bunch of color preferences for how things will look. And sometimes there are font sort of choices as well. So for example, another one that I can shout out, for example, here, if we look at themes, this is Vileplume. Actually, let me update this. Apparently this has been updated. All right, and then use this one. So this is Vileplume, which is made by actually a friend of mine who's actually been on the stream a few times. You'll hear about him a lot, especially when I talk about note-taking things, but by Hungsu. And so you can see here, this has like a beautiful, like inspired Pokemon theme to it. And so it looks honestly like, I wonder if I should just like, there's like a plugin for random theming. Just like every time you load it up, it gives you a new theme. It's just, he's done some really excellent work on this. And so basically, right, so theming is one of those things you can use to personalize. And the way you basically configure it here is inside the appearance tab. You can manage your themes here. And since basically Obsidian's done a lot of work on this stuff, and so you can see all the different community themes right here sorted by popularity. And so when it comes to personalizing themes, I'd say the first thing first is probably choosing one that has a good base template for you, right? So one that you're like, okay, I already know that this is what I like. I just need to do some tweaking. And so I'll let you do your bit as far as exploring and figuring out what works for you. But this is basically where I would start. Don't start from scratch when you're developing your theme. As far as like really getting into it, basically, let's see. So if we open up Chrome, so then today is the 27th one. All right, so let's take a look at the official docs for adding custom styles so that you have it. Okay, so basically what we can see here when it comes to custom styles is it's actually quite simple overall. In your Vault, you have this .obsidian folder. So if you actually go ahead, let me go ahead and open this up actually. So let me go to, file search, and let me go to my digital forest. Great, let me open that up. Okay, so inside, whether you're using Mac OS or Windows, basically usually the dot folders are hidden. So I know that on Mac, if you hit Command-Shift period, that will actually show everything that's been ignored. And right here, you can see that inside of the .obsidian, this is where you can actually get access to all those files. And so as you can see here, inside of the themes, really each theme is no more than a CSS file, which basically contains rules for how you style your theme. So now that we know that we have a CSS file, and that's really all that it is, this means that when it comes to customizing things, it basically boils down to going into a CSS file and editing whatever selector it is you're looking for. And so rather than walk you through a step-by-step, I think the easier thing is I have some changes I need to make to my own basically Night Owl theme. And so I'll show you the way you might do it when you're first getting started, and then sort of the way I'm managing it as far as repositories go. So let's go ahead and kick things off, shall we? So let me go ahead and switch back my theme. We go to not community pull appearance, manage, go back to Night Owl. Okay. Actually, let me go ahead and just pull the updated. Okay, perfect. So first thing first is that since I've released the theme, Obsidian's gone through a bit of changes. Most like noticeable is the fact that live preview is now a thing. There's not as much of this sort of editor preview mode. So in other words, if we have like, let's see, focus on editor. So even preview mode is just kind of, oh, preview source mode. That's what they're calling it now. So this is the source, which you can see very, very like, it's like the raw markdown. Versus if you go into preview mode right here, then this is live preview. So basically it used to be called editor mode. Now it's called source mode. Now, my problem is that when I'm in live preview mode, part of the reason you might have noticed is that the font here looks a little bit odd. In fact, it's a monospace font. And the reason is because my theory at the time when I was sort of building this was that when you're inside of your source document, you kind of wanted it to, I wanted it to feel a bit more like I was coding rather than feeling like I was reading something. So as a result, I made all the headings like a monospace, and arguably maybe could have justified making the body monofont as well, but I thought that might be stepping a little too far, so I just kept the heading a monospace font. That said, though, in live preview, it looks, well, it just leaves a little less to be desired. So I wanted to change that. So if you were not the original developer, right, and what you want to do is you want to go in there and change something. Let's go ahead and do that. So basically what we have, let me open up find, and then, oh, I apparently closed the file. It's okay. We're going to do a digital forest. And so inside of your Obsidian folder here, you would go to your themes, and then you would basically pick the file that you're using. And so in my case, I'm using nightowl.css. At least I believe it's this one. Hang on a sec. Let me just verify this real quick. I think I have 3 of them. Yeah, Night Owl theme. You know what? That's just getting deleted. I don't need that. And this is a dev one. Ignore that. Okay, so I'm just using the capital Night Owl. So as you can see, the theme name corresponds directly to what the CSS file is named. So I can go in here, and what I can do is I can open up in my favorite text editor. So in my case, I'll be using VS Code. And so what we want to do, right, is we want to change the heading. Like, that's what you're thinking, right? It's like, I don't like the monospace. How do I swap that out? So the main thing you need to do inside of Obsidian here is learn how to get into the inspector tools, which is not the most intuitive because after all, this looks like a normal app, right? But what you get here inside of the view is you should hopefully see a toggle developer tools. And so the shortcut for that is just like Chrome, where it's Command Alt or Command Option I. And so if I hit that keyboard command, you'll see that this whole dev tools pops up. And so if you're new to web dev, then the key thing here is to just understand that this box allows you to basically do a lot of sort of inspection of things. And so hopefully this gives you like a high level overview, because again, this is not like a CSS 101, but I thought we'd go ahead and show this. So if we're taking a look at this, we see that inside of here, this is basically the HTML that's happening inside of Obsidian, because in case you didn't know, Obsidian is essentially a web app, but it's packaged in Electron so that it basically works and functions like an app, but underlying it is using web technologies, which in my opinion is awesome because it kind of democratizes what's going on and allows people to get inside of it. So now that we have this, like basically this element selected, we can kind of get a sense of where the font family is coming from. So inside of here is where all of these calculations are taking place. And what you'll notice here is that the property we're looking for here is font family, because that's the CSS property that changes what font is being used. So here you'll notice that if I disable this, this all of a sudden looks a lot better. It's a proper sans serif font. And so ultimately, there's not actually much else I need to do. But if you wanted to say toy around and see what else how it would look, right? Is whoops, I went to the variables. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. I lost it. Okay, here we go. Here we are. Okay. So inside of here, if I wanted to experience, say, what does it look like as like a times, Roman, right? Here you go. That's what it looks like. You could be like, oh, what if it looks like Comic Sans? Although it looks like Comic Sans is not available as a selection. So that's fine. But anyhow, this means that all we need to do basically is delete this property, because that's what's ultimately causing the headache. So what we would do, if you're just hacking someone's theme, because again, if you're just personalizing it and you're not trying to share it for other people to reuse, then maintenance and infrastructure, architecture, not as important. So what we have here is the selector. That's the main thing you'll need to know about if you're new to CSS. It's just, this is actually the key to everything that's happening. And so the pattern here, if you'll notice, is that there's a CM header 1, and then inside of here is a heading 2, right? And then there's CM header 2, and that's where you have the font family editor. That's what we need to wipe out. So what we can do is inside of here, all we need to look for is CM header. There we go. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, this is an inefficient code, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and just, actually, we're going to do this for all three. So let me just select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Delete, save. And then just like that, actually, you'll notice that without changing anything else, it already works. So if I close this again, let's open up Build with Ben 27. It already looks significantly better. And so the way I would basically couch it for those who aren't actively sort of doing web dev or just know just a little bit of CSS, just focus on one problem at a time. And this is why I was saying that it's important to have a good starter template for handling things, because eventually you'll be able to be like, okay, I love everything about this. I just want to change this one thing. And so when you can get in there and you can open your DevTools and inspect the one thing, right? Like if for whatever reason you're like, oh, I want the background to be a different color, right? You could technically come in here and try to figure out what the background color is, change it, etc. So that said, okay, let me switch over to a question here. So there's a question from Joshua. Can we change the location of different plugin pin location using the theme? As far as pin locations, Jacob, I'm not sure if you're referring to like the sidebar of like where these are up here, because those can be done just, you can reorder these yourself. So for example, advanced tables here, I could drag it down here and then I can move this up. I can also just pin it over here on the left. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. So this shouldn't require CSS if that's what you're referring to. But if you have a more specific scenario, definitely let me know. So cool. Okay, another great question here from Joshua. So this actually here is not CSS. So actually that's a great call out. My theme does not do that for you automatically. What that is part of is the Andy Matuszak theme. And so Andy Matuszak really popularized this concept of sliding panes. So let me just go ahead and give credit where credit's due. So this is his blog actually right here. And you'll notice it's all about columns. And so if I go in here, let's see, where is his notes? Time full text, how about this? Okay, working notes. You see that when you click on this, it kind of keeps like a running train of like, oh, I went to, oh, that was an external link. I didn't want that. Bum, 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 go back. Okay, so like, let's see, I go to evergreen notes, I go to better taking notes, I go to, evergreen notes. And then what you'll notice here is that it starts to stack on the left. I came to really love this style of workflow because what this does is think of it like Chrome tabs. Like I think this is honestly one of the reasons why so many of us keep so many Chrome tabs open is a lot of times we're working through a flow and we want to be able to backtrack at any point, which don't get me wrong, I know that a lot of us are familiar with history in browsers, but there's something visual about being able to see your workflow. I think that's really helpful, and especially with being able to see them side by side like this, it's super nice. Again, maybe Chrome tabs for web browsing is not the best example, but that was like the closest thing that came to mind. And so inside of Obsidian, you'll notice that when I open a new one, so let's say I open like last week's Build with Ben, you'll notice that, let me hide some sidebars because it's just getting a little cramped. You'll notice that it comes side by side. And then if I open like the Build with Ben 25, once again, side by side. But again, the side thing that's happening is a specific setting so that you'll notice here there's a command for rotating the headers. So I can toggle rotated headers. And then this is probably what most of you are working with, which is like having the name up top, which again is a very common design pattern because we're all basically used to having that like top down sort of like visual effect when we're reading something. On the other hand, though, the reason why I guess I would couch that the rotating headers is actually quite nice is because, one, you gain more vertical space so you can actually read your note. And two, I would say, at some point, like I don't know, I got used to this. So anyhow, it's just a preference thing. And if you're wondering if you can rotate it the other way, this is what rotating the other direction is. In case you have a preference for this, just know that this means that when you're editing it, though, you are editing it vertically. So left means down, right means forward. And so it just kind of depends on preference. But that's basically all it is. It's just a configuration you can do with the Andy Matuszak plugin. So before I forget, let me go ahead and drop Andy's notes inside of the resources, so I don't forget that we called this out. And then, oh yes, I gotta add the plugin, so I'll do that later. Matuszak plugin, Obsidian. Okay, awesome. Thanks for the question. All right, so I showed you how to hack together basically how you hack an existing theme. So again, you're just doing it for yourself. It's syncing. You can go in there, just tweak a couple of things. You're good. For those of us, if you're developing a theme that you'd like to share with people and maybe make it a little bit more manageable, I can show you what I'm currently doing for my workflow. And that way, pick and choose what you will from it. All right, so let's see. So the problem right now is that the changes I made are just for myself. And I can't necessarily push this change out to everyone because it's not going to update the store, right? That was just a local change. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go inside of my repo. So I have, let's see, Night Owl here. There we go. Okay. So this is my Obsidian Night Owl theme. So it's a GitHub repo, which for those new to coding, essentially just means there's a place for you to download my code, and you can also modify it at will. And then more importantly, it just allows people who want to like do their own or like create a fork of it. If you're familiar with coding, makes it easy for them to do so. That way things aren't hidden in a black box. So basically I'm going to go ahead. I've already cloned this down. So let's go ahead and open this up in VS Code. And let's kind of walk through what's happening here. So let me open the Night Owl theme. All right. So a couple things going on here. There's a lot of different development things here. So at this point, if you're not as familiar with this, might be a little bit harder to follow, but I'll do my best to explain as we go on, just to make sure everyone can follow if they want. So what we basically have here is actually a pretty simple build process, because what I'm doing here is I'm using this CSS preprocessor called Sass. In other words, it allows me to better organize my CSS so that it's easier for us to track. Because if we look at things like Obsidian CSS, right, this is like the giant CSS file. There's a lot going on here, and it can be kind of hard to manage, especially if you're doing this at scale. And so being able to break things up into specific files, like, oh, here are where all my variables are, here is going to be where specific things are. It's nice because then you can group things together in a way that kind of makes sense to you as a maintainer. And then more importantly, you can kind of go from there. Now, that said, let's go ahead and make the first change, right? Which is the fact that we want to go ahead and change the heading. So what that was CM heading. And then interestingly enough, I'm not finding anything. So I thought it was heading, isn't it? Let me see. Hold on. Editor. Font family editor. Oh, see, CM header. Okay. So anyways, if I just, remember the correct one. Here we go. CM header here. So the way my repo is basically works is that if you want to actually publish a theme, the Obsidian team basically expects your repository, the folder you're submitting to contain a single file called obsidian.css. And that's what actually gets published over to the store. So what we're going to do here is, so we're not going to modify this file because this is the file that while you can, oh, sorry. Let me clarify. You can modify this directly and then ship it, and then that would actually get your changes pushed. But again, I'm looking for like a little bit of infrastructure here to make my life a bit easier. So we're not going to change it here. So what I'm going to do is inside of my Sass file here, you'll notice that I have this function here that's generating a heading for every single one. Honestly, I'm starting to move a bit further and further away from preprocessors as a whole because CSS itself has become extremely powerful in that regard. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually take a look at, well, let's see exactly how this is being built. Because otherwise in the future, if someone were to come in here and they're looking for CM header 1, you'll notice that it only shows up in the source file and not in the deliverable file rather than the source. And I don't much care for that. So clearly a couple things going on here where we have different font size headings that's happening. So if we go ahead and look at let's see, let me look at my variables. So we look at my variables, we can see that we actually have different sizes being configured for the different headings. So I think that's part of the reasons we did it, or like this was originally done programmatically, is so that I didn't have to go through and configure every single one. That said, I'm not particularly concerned about that, to be honest. So, and I'd rather just kind of do this in a way that feels more natural. So we're gonna get rid of this. And actually, let's do this. Let's comment this out. And we're just going to write some raw CSS. I think that's the easiest way to do this. So there will be 3. Whoop. We need 6 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I need CM1 through 6, right? So I'm going to split this. And then it was like increment. Yeah, emmet increment by 1. Start up. Emmet 0. Decrement to 0. Oh, I had a count function in here that I was gonna I could have sworn it was emmet too, actually. Show emmet commands. It was like count from 0 to 1. Why is it not working? Emmet increment by 1. That wasn't it. Ah, this is, oh, text pastry. Ha, there it is. Okay, text pastry from 0 to 1. There we go. Okay. Text pastry from 1 to 5. Okay, this is what I wanted. So anyways, that's a little VS Code shortcut that obviously took me a little, it's been a little while since I've done it, but it's nice because it automatically increments everything for you like that. So super nice. And so a couple of things that's consistent between all of these is that we have our font weight. And more importantly, we don't need a font family. That's fine. Color though, this is custom. And then, yep, that's that. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do then is gonna break this up. And then, you know what actually we're gonna do? We're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do like this. And we're gonna grab all of this. So all that's shared. Everything else is identical. Everything else is unique. So what we can do here is we can uncomment this. And then more importantly, the heading here is going to represent the number that we're incrementing. So in that regards, we can go ahead and copy this 6 times, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab, let's see, grab this one. This came out a little differently than I thought, but it's fine, this will work. 3, so 4, 5, I'm missing one, 6. Okay, great. Now that we have this, we need to actually push the change, right? And how does that actually work? Well, in my build, we just have a simple script here that's called npm run build, which will basically build out whatever the thing is. So now what we'll see here is that if we run yarn build, oh no, I forgot I have a node stats problem. Okay, we're gonna need to quickly, oh, I forgot about this. Womp. Yarn add node sas. Okay. Okay, if this gets stuck too much, I'm actually not going to worry too much about it because I don't want to hold up the stream just trying to deal with that. Because that's infrastructure automation things. We can deal with that. So what that would ultimately do is that we would take the code that we wrote earlier, it would split out into in here. So I'm just going to go ahead, since I have a feeling that's going to hang, I'm just going to break this up and just delete all of this right now. So if this works the way I think it will, okay, so now all of that's saved. All right, that's good now. Okay, so the question here is I need to actually test to make sure this works in my environment. So I created a little script that basically moves the Obsidian file into my vault. And the way I need to do that is I need to actually create a .m file. Basically, this is like a local setting is what .env is. And so I can just take this and then in my, oh, did it work? Yarn build. Oh, it did work. Excellent. Oh, that's exciting. I still need this though. Okay, so if this worked the way I think it did, we can see the difference. Let's see, let me open up. Okay, let's open this up, tick status. Ha, you see that now? Now, basically our changes are automatically showing up. Okay, great. That's been updated, that's been refactored, so it's condensed down. Awesome, okay, our build is working. Whew. All right, excellent. All right. So what I need to do is I need to actually move, I need the path of a directory. So this, again, this is an automation piece that I haven't set up yet. So the destination is ultimately going to be where my digital vault is currently living. And so the way I can get that real quick is I should have my Dropbox and then I believe it's in this digital forest. Okay, great. And then if I type path, where am I? Where am I? I forgot the command. Command get path. No, that's not what I wanted. Bash get path. Echo. No! It's supposed to be easier than this. Okay, I have a question here. So inside of the chat, was the text pastry thing a custom snippet or an extension that you installed? Yeah, great question. Okay, so inside, this is an actual extension. So if I go in here to the VS Code extension and do text pastry, Text Pastry is one of the, in my opinion, the most underrated VS Code extensions, because as a small aside here, in addition to being able to do counts, because counts are awesome. So let me actually just go ahead and create a new file real quick and hide some stuff so that's easy for everyone to see. All right, so let's take this new file that we have here. Okay, here is 20 lines of code. And if I split them up into this and then I go 0 to X, it'll notice you'll do all 1 through 20. But in addition, Text Pastry does some other stuff too, like UUIDs. And so the fact that you can just automatically generate those, it basically means that generating fake data and all this stuff is just so much easier, especially when you're trying to create like a rapid amount of things. So Text Pastry, can't highly recommend it. And now that I'm mentioning it, Text Pastry clearly needs to go inside of the, oh, this is Sublime Text, but no, actually, let me get the right one. Text Pastry VS Code. Make sure I get the right link. Here we go. All right, so dropping that inside of the resources so people have it. All right, great. So, yes, here, dude-man, with the save PWD. I don't know why my brain totally blanked on that. Okay, there we go. This is the directory I'm looking for. So, oh, wait. That's wrong. I need this PWD. There we go. This is the one I'm looking for. So inside of my environment, this is what I'm looking for. And then I need to copy this all the way to here. And then I'm going to call this theme, I'm going to say dev theme, just to make sure this is the right one. So there we go. And so now if I run yarn move, we should see a new theme appear inside of here. And sure enough, Obsidian Night Owl dev theme right here, which is great. So now I can go ahead and use that to toggle it over. And what we'll see is we see our beautiful changes to the heading. The only thing I'm curious about though is now that if I go into source mode, what happens? And so it looks like in source mode, it keeps the same typography and it doesn't revert back to that monospace. But honestly, I'm not mad at that. I think it looks fine. Yeah, I'm actually okay with this change. So now that I'm happy with this change, I'm gonna go ahead and let's update this. So one, I need to clearly update node sass. So this is a configuration thing. Fig update node sass. But then here's where the big change comes in. So here we go. So actually, you know what I want to do though? Let me just do a branch because this is basically going to be whatever we're building today is basically going to be V2. So V2 branch. And so inside of here, we've done a change. So we're going to feature swap out editor font family for headings. And by swap out, I really just removed it. I really don't care for that. There we go. Okay, great. That's been committed. Now, the next thing I want to do, which is something that bothers me, I'm kind of curious if people in the chat have an opinion about this. So let me go ahead and go back to live preview mode. When you have a checklist inside of Markdown files and you're going to complete it, so if we're going to do live source right now, it's usually as simple as just marking it as an X. That is the raw source. But what I've noticed is that in Obsidian, when I complete it, at least I think the default styles, at least maybe it's just a theme that I happen to inherit because I think I use Dracula as my base. It crosses it out. And I know all the psychology behind crossing things out, like it's a very satisfying thing for to-do lists and that kind of thing. However, my problem with it is that it basically makes the text unreadable. And part of the reason I do checklists is to one, know that it's done, but I actually still want to refer to it basically as a list. And the moment it's crossed out like this, like it's just, it just makes for like, look at this, if all of this is crossed out, like it makes it very difficult to read. And this has been, I have let this annoy me for way longer than I should have, to be totally honest. So I'm of the opinion that yes, we can mark a completed state. There's something very nice about that, but I personally don't care for it. And so I'm going to basically remove the cross out and show you what I'm thinking. And then for people who still want it, you can always go in, delete it. And more importantly, if we have time today, I'm going to integrate something that allows you to do easier customizations to my particular theme. So one thing at a time though. Okay. So we're getting rid of the check styles. So how would I typically do this? Once again, let's go into my theme. Inspector tools. If you look at the inspector tools, we'll see inside of here that, inside of here, there's this giant selector here, markdown. Oh, wait, I just realized I keep forgetting. I didn't have my post-it note today. There's this giant thing down here that's like Markdown source view mod CM. So in case you're wondering, by the way, for the CSS developers, CM6 is like the new engine that's like doing the live rendering. So that's how you know it's the new one. And so you'll notice that it's saying that anytime it's a data task, some sort of task, then go ahead and drop through the line through property. And what I want to do is I want to get rid of it, because I feel like this gives me enough information. It tells me it's done, it's in a different color, and it's got the beautiful emoji. Like, this is what I want. So let's make sure this actually works, shall we? So the snippet is right there. So all I'm going to do actually in this particular case is, one, let's just make sure that this works. So let me go ahead and can I refresh? Okay, go ahead and build with Ben 27. Oh, it looks like I still have, I manually disabled it, which is fine, but I need to actually see the changes. So that's part of the reason I need to re-enable it. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's show all this. Again, line cross through, not a fan. So what I'm gonna do here is inside of my project now, we have a bunch of modes. Again, these modes are actually kind of outdated. So in a perfect world, like if we had all the time in the world, I would go ahead and refactor this right now, but not critical at the moment. So what we have here is we have a bunch of modes, we have this stuff. So what I'm gonna do here, because I currently don't know how I wanna organize it, we're just gonna do an override. And CSS, in case you don't know, works in terms of specificity. So whatever's defined at the top basically is like the least important thing all the way down to the bottom, which is tends to be the most specific thing. There are ways to override it. We're not gonna get into it now, but basically, usually when you include things at the bottom of the CSS file, you can kind of assume it will, again, there are caveats to this, but if things are architected well, hopefully the thing at the bottom takes precedence over the thing at the top. So I already copied the snippet here. So this is basically what is being changed. It's saying that, hey, for Markdown source view with this new engine CM6, go ahead where it's a data task, go ahead and at one point it was text decoration line through, right? But I don't want any line through, I just want none. And so now that I have this, what I'm gonna do now is let's just test this. So I'm gonna yarn build it up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and move it over into my theme. And then now, if you'll notice, was like, there you go. It just, in fact, you know what? I don't think I can appreciate the fact that, or I think it's important to take a moment to appreciate how fast Obsidian picks up the changes, because once again, if I go ahead and switch this over to line through again to show you that this works. So I just build it, and then I'm gonna move it over. Look at that. It's basically hot module reloading for all that, for most of us that are concerned about that kind of thing. Like, it's just, that's beautiful. So, here we go, Dude Man here. Thank you for the, so CM6 stands for Code Mirror 6, and that's what's being used, I think, as their engine. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the cross through, so I am just gonna take that out. So we're gonna say none. And then I can build this. And then let's go ahead and move it, and then everything changes. Much, much better. So actually, you know what? We're just gonna commit this code right now. And this is a feature to remove line through on completed tasks. Okay, great. Those are the two main things I wanted to sort of show, and more importantly, it's been on my mind for a while now, so I'm glad we're finally getting around to it. But the other thing I want to do, though, is check out the demo file real quick, just to make sure there's nothing else that's glaringly wrong with this. So you can see headings are good. And so this demo file, by the way, is just something that I think has been, people like theme developers tend to have this. It basically showcases as much as you humanly can so that you can kind of see how things look. So this is good. Yep, I'm fine with that. Text is italic, text is bold, that's fine. Ooh, this is one that actually I do want to change. Here, we have this ability to do font. We already make things, we make the bold a different color. So it would stand to reason, in my opinion, that your bold italic, if you're spending that much, if you're trying to really emphasize it, then I'd argue that you probably should go ahead and change the color for that. So inside of here, let's see why it's not in here. Okay, so clearly there's a CMEM here that's basically saying it's been emphasized, and the emphasis is giving it a muted color. So if I disable this, we'll see that it actually turns green again. So if we're talking about like visual differentiators, then bold is green, yellow, let's see, CM, EM. So actually, what colors do I have? So I can look in my variables folder and let's see what different colors we have. Oh, we have a yellow. Maybe yellow would be nice for this. Because I'm actually kind of curious, like, would it actually be nice if the italics were also in a different color too, to be honest? Because you are trying to do some sort of emphasis, so why not use a little color to highlight that? So actually, okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to say that anything that's bold and italic, let's say it's going to be this primary yellow. So the way we're going to do this now is we're going to find out where the CM strong lives, or if it even exists, to be honest, inside of here. Looks like it does. It looks like it's inside of the Dracula right here. And then CMEM here, you'll notice here, is text muted. Okay, so that tells me a couple things. So one, let's go ahead and re-expand this real quick. If I open up my variables and split this off to the side. Okay, so a couple of things. It's interesting that I have this green here, but it doesn't exist in my variables. That is something I want to actually change. So I'm gonna say primary. Again, I'm not crazy about this naming schema of colors, at least as I'm reflecting on it, but it's fine. I want to know that this is available. So what I can do now here is change this to a variable, to primary light. Oh, wait. Primary light green, hang on. Primary light green, root, theme, dark. Oh, I get it. I see what happened here. So this means that we have, all right, I need to start. This is why I want to move closer back to CSS, to be honest. Okay. So then this now should be able to say primary light. To make sure this works, actually, let's start by making this blue. So this should, we move this over. Great. And then let's go ahead and build this. Let's go ahead and move it. There you go. Now it's blue. Perfect. So now we var primary light green. So now if I go ahead, again, I could totally watch the file and move them by automatically, but again, we are just hacking some things together right now. Okay, great. I like CSS colors here rather than them being put in as hard-coded values. And actually, I think part of my refactoring I'm doing right now is going to make it easier for us to do what I want, the change I want to do in a little bit, which is, I'll explain then. Okay, so text muted is the thing I don't like, actually. So instead of text muted, we're going to, inside of our variables file, we're going to actually create a CSS variable for italic color. So I'll say font italic color. And this one will be primary. Yeah, I can't wait to refactor this, honestly. Primary yellow, like that. So then I could do font italic color. Okay, so if this works the way I hope it does, then this means yarn build, yarn move. It did not do, oh, of course. I did it on the wrong thing. Silly me. Swap that out. There we go. All right, let's test this out. I see a question. Let me go ahead and change this first. Yarn build, yarn move. There we go. Oh, that is interesting. Although I'm not mad at that. That's actually kind of nice, right? So if you're like, so emphasis, so this will also be bold. So let me see. So if I do a markdown and I want to give an example of, this is my bold and italic example, then, okay, so yellow is italic, bold is green. That looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The only thing though is I still want this bold to stand out, but I don't want it to be the same bold because it's like a bold italic. So if we were to like call it mix the two together, let me bump this up a little bit. What colors do I have available to me? I kind of want to try something different. Let's try this primary teal. So what I'm gonna do here is, again, I'm not gonna worry too much about the naming, because if I did, we would be here forever, and we're looking to ship value to people. Okay, so what we're trying to say is inside of the EM tag, if we get a specific word that's bold, that would be selected by the CM strong. Oh, something that is EM strong and EM. Oh, okay. This is the selector we need. We basically need to say that if the thing is being emphasized and it's also being strong, then we can say the color is primary teal. Okay, if this works the way I hope it does, yarn build, yarn move. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna leave it for now. I think I'm okay with it. I wonder. The blue is a little bit. You know what? Why? I think the blue is a little too much similar to the rest of the theme. So again, I always like to joke that I can play a designer on TV, and so this is me playing a designer on TV right now. I think the blue is not stand out-ish enough. So rather than the teal, I'm gonna say that similar to bold, it needs to be the sort of similar hue. So here's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna go with a primary pink actually, or maybe like a lavender. I'm just gonna call it that. And so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take this color here and let's drop the hue down to like a purplish. Yeah, maybe like this. Okay. So now that we have a primary lavender, I'm going to swap out the primary teal for lavender. And I got to keep reminding myself not to get obsessed with the name because I so strongly want to standardize this right now. But I want to just make sure things work first. I have to resist the engineer urge. Okay, that's a little too dark because I feel like the color contrast is a little bit low. So it's funny. It looks lighter here, and then maybe I can move this over a bit like that, and then now that I have that, I can yarn build, yarn move. Did it change? Actually, you know what am I doing? We have the inspector here. Let's just actually find a hue that we like because this one feels slightly off. Okay, this is a bit brighter. Okay, yellow, blue-ish. Let me see, let's change that. Yeah, because here can combine them. I think the purple was the right direction, or like a pink. I'm gonna stick with this. Purple, green. Yes, I think so. Okay, great. We're gonna stick with this. So, oh wait, I thought it was. All right, I want this hue. I want this hex color. Okay. Because the other one's a little bit dark, so we're going to go ahead and swap that out. Okay, great. All right, that's been changed, that's been changed, that's been changed. Okay, git feature, add styles for, add new colors for italic and italic bold. Great. All right, now that we have that, we have bold and italic example, we can combine them. This is good. Lists look pretty good. Not going to worry too much. Although, interesting enough, they didn't auto increment. I don't know why that didn't happen. Okay, there we go. That's good. Bum, 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 bum. Images, resizing images. Links are good. URI links. Okay, you know what? This does bother me a little bit, but maybe that's a good thing. Is that this text accent is kind of hard to read, and it makes me want to create a note by instinct. But I think part of the reason it's doing that though is because it's saying hey, you don't have a note for this yet. So I don't know. I'll leave it for now. But I feel like you shouldn't be penalized for not creating a note. That's kind of what I have a problem with this. Is that it kind of makes you feel compelled to create a note just to get rid of the color. You know what? No. I'm not okay with this. Okay, so what's going on here? We have text accent here, and then here, this is also text accent. So what happened here? Do we have a filter that's being applied here? Nope. Is unresolved. Opacity 0.5. Okay, I get. Like I said, I understand why we're trying to be very clear that it doesn't exist, but I see Radio Signal here in the chat. Hello, how's it going? Good evening. Actually, you know what? While I'm mulling this over, one process in my brain, let's go over to the chat. So, okay, I see here Jacob Does Obsidian bring its own formatting that you need to overwrite in your theme, like a CSS reset needed effectively? Kind of, Jacob. This is why I think it's important to start with a base theme where someone has gone through the effort of like kind of getting all that started up, is because I do like, especially with all this code mirror stuff, there are a ton of fairly specific selectors happening that make things work the way they do. So I really wouldn't recommend starting from scratch essentially when it comes to building your theme. Dudeman here, weird, my selector for strikes though seems different. Is this because you're on an insider build? Oh, okay, great. Glad that works. You added a strike through selector as a snippet. Okay, that's actually interesting. We're probably going to talk about snippets shortly. But all right, so in the meantime, back to this particular problem. This opacity thing bothers me a bit in that I think it's just like a little, maybe it's just like the contrast is too much. No, either way, there's like my brain is like, I don't like it. I mean, I could just make it in different color entirely so that it's, I mean, what if we did something as drastic as like, if it's unresolved, we said it was white. Oh, right. It's not. All right. So just for the sake of demoing it, that important. Oh, because the color is not being defined at this level. It's being defined lower level. Yeah. Okay. So what if we said color white? By having it white, you have a clear underline to indicate that it's a link. On the other hand, like, okay, the problem is, right, if we don't change the color, change it visually, it looks like the note already exists. Which is that actually a problem? No, I think it is, because sometimes you want to know that like something still hasn't had a note created for it yet, so I get that. Different symbol. What kind of symbol are you thinking of, Jacob? Like, would we do like would you like position something in front of it? Like we would do like a prefix? Because right here, you'll see that like, again, if we have a note, right, like build with Ben 27, I know for a fact that exists. These two look identical, except one doesn't have, one is still unresolved. And again, I think the unresolved is useful. It's not actually that I'm trying to argue that it's not. Granted, I did that mind experiment just so that we could actually consider the possibilities. But yeah, it's just, for me, I feel like this penalizes someone because it's just kind of hard to read. So maybe, honestly, for now, I'm going to go with my gut. Like the link has a symbol. Wait, Jacob here, like the link above your cursor has a symbol. You mean this one? Like when you're here, I'm not sure what your could have a resolve symbol that are similar enough when scanning. Yeah. If you're talking about this symbol, by the way, this is actually an external link though. So this is not quite the same. Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, that is an external link symbol. No, I'm talking about internal links. Basically, internal links that are not created versus internal links that are created. Yeah. Okay, that I'm fine. Oh, okay. I see. Oh, I follow. Yeah. Okay. If we look here real quick, let's see what's happening though. How did they do this? Did they just append it? So, okay, this is a little bit tricky now because what we're getting here is clearly there is an element being appended to the thing. So, I mean, I guess. All right. So my policy on coding, as always, is not to get too caught up in the weeds. So what we're going to do first is let's make sure we can modify said thing. So first of all, we're going to make sure we grab this. And so we know that we have this is, okay, so we have an internal link. All right, so there's a couple of things that's going on here. So let me close some of this stuff. And let's just, and then we have here obsidian.css. Once again, we're not going to worry about organization. We're just going to make this work. So I know that this is specifically an internal link here. So this is why, for those of you who are huge fans of utility classes, this is where I think utility classes fail, is that you have this lack of sense of structure and there's no API thought put into it. Although, let me be very clear. It's not that utilities don't have usage. I just think I think the trend has gone too far where people are just we're using only utilities inside of their actual HTML. if Obsidian had done something similar, it would make this incredibly painful to modify, even though it would technically achieve the same thing as far as something being renderable. So actually, you know what? If I were to write a blog, or if someone wants to write a blog post about this, that's exactly it. It's like good CSS is basically good API design. And so yes, API design is difficult. It's hard to abstract things in a way that's easy for people to modify without blowing everything up. On the other hand, that doesn't mean you just return primitives for everything. Anyways, that's my mini rant. Okay, so we have an internal link here. The internal link here then also has this is unresolved. So if this works the way I think it will, so we have is unresolved. Let's just go ahead and make sure this works. So we're just going to give it a borderline solid red, and let's just make it important real quick to make sure things work. So we're going to build it, and we're going to move it. Okay. Okay. I see Time of Sorrow here. Please write that blog post. Okay, you know what? I am going to make a note of it. If someone beats me to the punch, by the way, I totally would not be upset. But let me see. Build with Ben 27. Here we go. I'm going to get rid of the inspector real quick. Notes. Maybe write a blog post on how good CSS is essentially good API design and utility classes. Demolish that idea. Okay, great. Okay, demo file. The only thing now is I moved it, but interestingly enough, nothing is happening. And I wonder if it's because we are, let's see. So we have this text underline mod source view is unresolved. I would have thought, is unresolved not a child of it? Oh, this is an internal link inside of, oh, I see. Nope, I missed it. Is it next to it? Oh, interesting. Okay, so never mind. I was wrong. Internal link is actually a thing that's prepended before, funny enough. So if I modify this and edit the HTML, and what if I did like symbol, we should see, oh my gosh, I like reset the thing. Inline code. Nope, that didn't do anything. I think it's because it's hidden by default. Yup, underline is resolved internal link. Okay, that's fine. So that means is unresolved is its own element, it seems. So that's basically, this is how I debug when I'm doing. Okay, so there's that. Okay, we have our selector. This is great. The problem is though, oh, is unresolved has an internal thing that's link. And then is unresolved is the problem with the opacity. So then I could reset the opacity to 1. Because again, I don't think people should be punished. Because the beautiful thing I keep telling people is that when you're creating your notes, that you don't, I thought I did opacity 1. What happened? When you're writing notes and creating references, you should feel you can create them without going to the effort of creating the markdown note. That is a strong belief of mine because we don't have time to document everything. Sometimes we just need ideas to flow and create pointer references that don't exist but allow us to reference it later. And I feel like this penalizes us, which is why I don't like it. So anyways, okay, so inside of here, I thought I got this working, but apparently not. So, okay, we have the border. The border works. Is unresolved. HMD. Yeah, is unresolved. What's the problem? Oh, see, selector specificity. Here we go. It is not specific enough. Okay, now let me get rid of the border. To be honest, we don't need that anymore. We proved that it worked. Okay, great. Ooh, okay, here, Jacob here with the great suggestion. Maybe that for resolved for unresolved. All right, you know what? I'm going to copy the symbol, actually. And what if... Let's try this. After the element... I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to say the content is... Let's do this thing here. With 50 pixels. This is going to be overkill. I already know it. But I just want something to show up on the screen. All right, let's see if this works. Yarn build, yarn move. Oh, hey, look at that. Something is appearing. Oh, okay. I kind of like this. So what this means then, it's kind of interesting though. Like if you look at this, the is unresolved is actually spanning before this for whatever reason. I really don't know. And but how do I only select the stuff is unresolved, is link? Yup. This selector is a little bit problematic because of how it calculates things. Because now if we go like this node doesn't exist. Oh, that's good. Oh, wait a second. Is that why? Actually, that's not half bad. And by half bad, I mean, Jacob, this is, I think, a great suggestion. The only thing, though, is now, can I trim this down a little bit so that it's not as in your face? Yarn move. Ooh, okay. I think I kind of like this. Margin left 10 pixels. No, 10 is probably too much. 5 is probably fine. Yarn build, yarn move. Yeah, people here talking about the alias. I wonder if the alias is the problem. This node doesn't exist. Great. And then I can do the, oh wait, here. Wait. My alias. Oh, yeah. So funnily enough, when you use aliases, it just kind of like botches itself because the alias is technically unresolved. Oof. That's a little problematic because it basically means that I can't append the symbol like this. Because again, I know I use aliases a lot and I wouldn't want to make this shift this to everyone. Again, one could argue that if you don't have a note, it's unlikely you would alias it. It's just kind of an odd thing to do. But from like I ship this thing to everyone. Jacob here with a suggestion to reduce the opacity so that the arrow is not as much in your face, which I think is actually a good. Oh, whoops! Yarn build, yarn move. Yeah, it's a little less in your face. So this is pretty good. If it wasn't for the alias thing, honestly, I think I would just ship it like this. But alas, this whole, I don't think you can check if, I guess we can do it real quick. CSS, check if selector has content. But then I think it I think it does. I think because of what it populates, I don't think this will work. Because you can say it has, oh, whether something has something? Think. If the span has an internal link, hang on, I think has internal link. Has dot internal link. Wait, did I get that right? If this is unresolved, has a CM HMD internal link, then this is what we ship. Yarn move. Oh, nope. I had it and it's gone. Is unresolved, has it. Oh, so close. Timasar here with the question whether or not we could use the last child. Is that because are we claiming that? All right, what's the theory here? The theory here is without this has selector, that yarn build, yarn move. Our theory here, okay, let's explain what's going on here. We have this whole line here, CM line. We have a bunch of stuff next to it, but unfortunately though, they're not in like a single div where it would be last child, so they're all siblings, it looks like. So unfortunately, I don't think this would help us. Oof, I thought the has might get us really close, but I don't think I totally understand how the has, right? If it has this thing. Oh, it has no support. That's probably why it doesn't work. Oh, there's a has alias selector. Okay, hang on. Dudeman here, perhaps with the clutch CSS selector that might save us. If it has an alias, ignore, ignore, ignore. Only this one says has alias though. So basically we could say is unresolved. So we could say not, wait, CM has alias, link has alias. Because otherwise that only solves that one, but it doesn't solve this one or this one. Yeah, because these siblings are not have nothing to do with the alias. So we're still hitting these. These are too generic. But what we want to hit is this, right? This is unresolved, not this one, this one. But unfortunately, there's nothing. Yeah, it only, wait. Oh, wait. What if we only spanned it on the class for the CMD internal link? What if we did it here? CM HMD internal link. Yes. Okay, what if we only attach it to link? Will this work? Did it work? Oh! I think it worked. There we go. Excellent. You know what? I am pretty good with this. I might bump that a little bit closer, actually. Yarn build, yarn move. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. This basically says, hey, look, this does require your attention at some point. This is a little bit weird when you get inside of here, but oh, that's going to bother me a little bit. Is that from a... What's happening here? Hold on. I only kind of want it when it's editing. Can I... Dang it. Click. Can I inspect without you getting in my way? All right, I think I have to do it manually. Yeah. Okay, here we go. This here is the whole unresolved. And I cannot expand this because it keeps disappearing. Okay, actually, hold up real quick. I want to switch to the other thing that I wanted to look at in a little bit. But okay, so the arrow disappears in source mode, but it doesn't appear in live preview. Okay, hold on. Let me just see the UX on this. So if I'm coming in here and I'm like, all right, so new hurricane note. This is cool. No match found. This is my alias. Oh, this is kind of bad because I guess it's not terrible. And new stuff. You know what? Honestly, I think this is a general win, actually. Because now, again, let's test this. If I open up, this note doesn't exist. Hey, it disappears exactly as you want. All right. Yep, I am really happy with that. I think this is... It would be perfect if we could figure out how to get the alias thing to not look so weird here. Because there's clearly two of like... If I could get rid of this one, I don't mind this one. This one on the right is the one that bothers me. But... Yeah, so Jacob, I don't think that it changed classes. I think there's basically a reactive string being swapped in so that the stuff that used to say like 0 space that we were having an issue with earlier. So just to show everyone what at least my theory is, because I couldn't find a good way to expand that automatically, is we'll see here is the is unresolved. There's a bunch of 0 with space. And I'm pretty sure that is basically a placeholder so that when you're actually editing it, then it'll go in and swap it out. So unfortunately, the HTML just resets every time, and I can't, at least as of right now, I'm not gonna spend the time to figure it out because I think this already is a win. I think people can figure out a way around it, and if they really dislike it, this is the piece here. But for now, let's do a couple of things. One, let's document this awesomeness to, wait, I thought, oh, is that only JavaScript? All right, whatever. Snippet to add icon for unresolved links so that we don't have to rely on opacity. Mad props to Jacob for the design suggestion. Bam. All right. Yeah, this is good. I'm very happy with this. Okay, so we're gonna ship that. with v2. Feature icon for denoting unresolved internal links. Bam! All right. So now that we have this, oh, I'm very happy with this. This is a good movement forward. Maybe I should make it gray at some point. Anyways, escaping, not worried about that. Inline code, that's fine. Code blocks. Yeah, oh, here's code block here. I really wish that I might need to look into the color syntax highlighting. I want that to be prettier. Incomplete, complete, great. Oh, funny, the tables look weird. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Strike through, highlighted text, sure. Footnotes are fine. Math is good. Diagrams are fine-ish. Not gonna worry about that. Okay, great. Well, we're not done yet though. We still got 20 minutes. So what I wanna look at next is the fact that, okay, so if we take a look at the repo, one of the things that as a theme developer, you might be thinking is like, okay, it's cool that people can go in there, they hack their own CSS file, that works. But like, there probably is a better way to do this, right? And so I came across this a little while ago. Oh my God, this was, you know, it's funny. I said that I did this a few months ago. This was like a few months ago. It's accurate. October, so be a few months ago. All right, so there is this Obsidian plugin that's been on my radar, but I just haven't had the bandwidth to think about, which is the style settings. And it allows you to basically configure different things and different snippets and that kind of stuff. And so apparently you can configure things so that it makes more sense. So ID, heading, class, variable, text. Yep. So you can go in there. So basically it allows the user, at least in theory, to pretty easily configure your theme without even doing any real CSS. So the only thing though that I'm trying to figure out is what exactly they're trying to, like how I would make it compatible. So what I understood at the moment was that you could just configure specific variables that would allow you to like override whatever's in the theme. And so, oh yes. Okay. So I am right. Okay. Here we go. So if you do like an ID of text, you give it the type variable select default roboto options. Okay. So how do I make this compatible? Can you give me an example? Like, that's nice. There's a lot of color formatting. Localization import, that's cool. I like this. I just need... Oh, okay. Actually, I will switch to Dudeman with a great question on the demo file. You know what? I think... Did I have the bencodezen.publish.obsidian? Did I mess up? Publish obsidian/bencodezen. Did I do the demo file? I did not. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, real quick, we have this demo file here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go to my publish changes. We're gonna look for the demo file, new file. Here you go, Obsidian theme demo file. Publish this. Great. So now if I come in here, look for demo file. Nope, refresh. Demo really doesn't like it. I guess it's not published just yet. Demo. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, well, again, I thought that would happen faster. Obsidian theme demo file. Yep. I thought their refresh on the cache was pretty fast, but apparently not fast enough. All right, fine. In that case, then, I'm just going to copy all this, and we're going to go ahead and go over to the bencodezen boilerplate, because I think the boilerplate... Wait, I don't have that clone here? Apparently not. GitHub repositories, boilerplate. There's my Obsidian boilerplate. We're gonna copy this real quick. Up. CD projects, clear, git clone this. Yeah, I thought I already, I don't know why it didn't show up. All right, whatever. That's good. Then we can open this up in VS Code real quick. People notes. All right, so this is called a Obsidian theme demo file. And actually, let me just go ahead and actually make this an MD file. Let's copy down all this stuff and save it. Actually, don't modify it. Just save without formatting, please. Save without formatting. Great. Okay. Save without formatting. Excellent. Take status. Git add. Git commit feature theme demo file. That's that. And now I would refresh, make sure this is in here. Notes. Obsidian demo file, most excellent. Dropping it. And then I will make sure this is included inside of the show notes. 27. Bam. Okay. Very cool. Now, what I'm hoping to do in the next 10 minutes or so is to better understand how this works, because I have seen, like, there's someone filed and issued on the theme for this. So it's clearly being requested. I know it's taken me a little while to get into it. So I'd love to figure out how this works. The CSS snippet can be adjusted to adjust any CSS variable in the theme. Okay. Default font, mermaid font, reveal font. Oh. So if I understand this correctly, what this is going to do is it's going to basically create CSS variables. Okay. So what I need to do is make my variables compatible with the naming. That I'm all for setting standards. So let's see real quick. What was this thing called again? Style settings. All right. Style settings here. Once again, the whole idea here is that you can configure it. So let's find out what this does. So let's enable it. Let's look at the options. Style settings, inside of buttons. Oh, okay. Button text, button light, box shadow, border radius. Okay. Import, config, export config. Okay. Okay. Trying to understand this. So basically they're saying if I import it, it will do everything I want. So if I take this file, take all of it, and they're saying that if I go inside of here and I import said config, save. Okay, so it's expecting JSON. I thought they wanted YAML. All right, hang on. Let's just see. Save. What? I expected this to just work. Although it's fine. If they switch their... It's weird though, because why are they saying they want... If you're telling me, like, I'm all for this, but it's just like download. I mean, sure, style settings.json, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be empty, like 99% sure. If I open this in VS Code, empty JSON file. Okay, that's fine. So if they've moved from YAML to JSON, though, I kind of just want an example then, because the UI has clearly changed a bit. And so RGB split, this will, okay, so this is what they're corresponding here. CSS settings manager accent. So if the settings here, all right, let me guess. Actually, if I'm going to guess, my guess is that if I were to think about this, let's open the Obsidian Night Owl theme. And let's create a file down here called stylesettings.json. Then again, assuming YAML, all this stuff is YAML, then I'm pretty sure what this means is this is an object, this is here, and that's that. Then I think that's that. We can grab all this, split, go to the end. Oop. That's fine. Grab all of this, split all of that, add a comma, save. Is it not gonna like that? Ah, I would hope that it could actually. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh my gosh. Grab every single one of these. Put that there. Put that there. Go to the very. Okay, that's fine. Then wrap that here. Save. Nope, still doesn't like it. Okay, actually, let's grab all of these now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be a little broken here, but that's fine. Go all the way to the end. Swap that out. Okay. So let's say this is what they intended. Save. Okay. This should be... Ah! Jacob here with the chat. Oh my gosh. Screenshot of the internal tree. Use the debugger to break subtree modifications. Fancy. Okay, Jacob, I'll talk to you, DM you about that later. That is awesome. Thank you for that. Hopefully we can then improve the alias experience for that. Okay, so if this works, then this tells me that if I import this configuration and save it, export. Okay, so it does see that. Buttons, background, text font size. But where is accent color? Where is my accent color? Why is it only say buttons? Reset all to default. Yup. Nope. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so I think there's something good going on here, but clearly I'm missing something. Do they have examples of themes that... These comments must contain YAML. CSS style to scan all CSS loaded by for comments. For example, adding this snippet to your vault will result in... Oh, add it to your vault. Ew. Okay. But, how do I do this? Does anyone have a question that can help me? Better setup guide. Okay, let's see. Based on my reading, I'm supposed to go to plugin, Obsidian style settings, and edit the CSS folder. I did this. When I go back to the app, it's totally empty. So you'll want to create a snippet containing your settings. I've added it to your demo here. My config.css. Oh, okay. That is not... I did not grasp that immediately. Okay. So if I am to understand this correctly, then we can grab all this. Actually, this is already my clipboard history. What am I doing? We're going to go in here. We're going to go into appearance, snippets. Inside of here, we can create one. So... All right, so inside of here, we can go into my digital forest, and then Obsidian snippets. We'll follow their convention, myconfig.css. Let's drop this giant thing here of settings and copy that, save. Now inside of our here, we should be able to vault snippets, right? Vault.obsidian/snippets. Yep. Do I need to refresh? Oh, I probably need to refresh. There we go. It's been loaded. Now if we go inside of style settings, I still don't see anything. Import, export, reset Obsidian entirely. Then we have a sync style settings. Yeah, it still just says buttoned. And I thought I did what it said to add a comment, and the comment adds the settings. So something's missing here. Do I have to toggle the snippet from Dudeman? I thought I enabled it, but let's just make sure. Yeah, style snippet is on. Style settings is on, sorry. That's correct. Again, I like the idea behind this, but I'm clearly stuck. For example, adding this to a CSS snippet in your vault will result in this. Yeah, so, okay, hold up. Let's try this one more time. My config, I'll drop this small one here. Okay, Then inside of here, go inside of appearance. Oh, toggle this on. I see. Dude, been here with probably the suggestion I needed. Okay, that's cool. Now style settings. Here we go. Okay, much better. Now we have the accent color. Now people can choose stuff. Okay, very good. This means a couple of things. What this means then is that, well, okay, actually, I think I understand then how this might work. What it's telling me then is, let's delete this. If I delete this and move the trash, then all of a sudden that stuff should disappear, which is good. And then we go to appearance. This is also gone. No CSS snippets sound. But what we can do, if I have the theory correct, is that we could, inside of the Night Owl theme, theoretically, if I understand this correctly, at the very beginning of all of this, we could just include this block right here, I think. So then when we yarn build, right, this should create leave the comments at the very top. Yep, all the comments are right here. And then theoretically, if I move this in, now this settings is inside of the CSS file, which theoretically then tells me that sync settings should be here. Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what that tells me now is that this is great. This means that as long as I figure out how the variable names and everything work out, then this is how you can basically make your theme easier for people to customize, because now they can actually configure their CSS variables directly in here. So I'm hoping there are some other functionality. So for example, earlier we toggled the ability to strike through. Hopefully that will become easier to switch in and out. But with that said, let's go and switch back over to the camera because we are going to wrap up. Okay. Well, this has been incredibly productive. Gosh, I'm very happy. Big shout out to Dudeman for figuring out the fact that I need the snippet turned on. Maybe I can submit a PR to their docs to make this a little bit easier, because again, as a theme developer, I needed just a little bit more clarification on the fact that, like, drop this comment at the top of the block. And then once you do that, you can match the things. So this is really cool. So I think this is where the preprocessor is actually helpful, is because what I could do then is I probably can actually output using Sass to variables and stuff to print stuff off. Anyways, should be fun. But this means that basically going forward, this will make Night Owl, again, V2, once I release that. Honestly, I might spend a little bit more time to do this after the stream just to finish it up. But then this should hopefully allow everyone to customize things the way they want, and while still using the Night Owl theme. And then you don't even have to do the hack that I was telling you about. And then if on my particular theme, if there's maybe an option that you need that maybe I didn't think about, then that's something I'd be happy to consider to add so that other people can go ahead and switch up and customize what they want. But yeah, this was absolutely, had a blast. Big shout out to Jacob and Dudeman for the assist and helping me to get everything up and running. Again, theme development, as you can see with Obsidian, can be a lot of fun. And because it's all HTML, you can kind of get in there, dive in, and figure out what you want to do. And we did, honestly, I'm really happy with the enhancements that we did today. So we can be sure to look out for a upgrade on the Night Owl theme so that anyone who wants to fork it or basically use it on their own, you'll get all the latest updates soon. So I think that's everything. And with that, I think that's a wrap for today. With that said, thanks everyone for hanging out today. Once again, all the resources will be included in the show notes below. If you have any questions or any feedback, please be sure to leave a comment below. I really appreciate it, and I try to read every single one. So with that said, I will talk to you all later and hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.